Let me tell you a story, a true story as well, a true story. And by true, I mean it actually happened, not like most government reports. No, this story doesn't come from a fairy tale unless that fairy tale is titled Hansel and Gretel and the Kafkaesque hellscape of family court. In the story of what it really means to be a father prepping for a Cafcass safeguarding interview. Not for the faint-hearted or for the faint of IQ. Strap in, this one's going to hurt. It's going to sting a lot more than your ex's new boyfriend calling himself dad. It all began last Thursday. A letter arrived not from Hogwarts, but from Cafcass, which is basically Hogwarts if you Voldemort run children protection. And every owl delivered passive-aggressive accusations instead of mail. You open the mail, I opened it, and instantly feel like you've been volunteered as a tribute in the Hunger Games of parenthood. The system doesn't see love, it sees liability. It doesn't see effort, it sees risk. And if you've got the Y chromosome and a beard, game over. The bias isn't even subconscious. It's got a desk, a nameplate, and a sandwich in the fridge. You're not a dad, you're a crime scene waiting to happen. So what do? You prepare. You don't just read up. You go full serial killer, covering his tracks. You clean your house like your future's hidden under the sofa cushions. You delete every WhatsApp message that could be misread, which is all of them if you've got male friends. But you ask yourself, is this a toy? Or is it a choking hazard that screams negligence? You even start to side-eye the cat like, hey, it's a cat. Don't let me down. Don't let me down, cat. Because if you leave any blanks, the system will fill them in for you, and they'll use crayons dipped in trauma. Now, let's talk allegations. Oh yes, allegations. These bad boys show up like spam emails from a Nigerian princess. Sometimes real, often not. Always damaging, and here's the fun twist. If you get accused, you have to prove it didn't happen. That's right. Welcome to the bizarro world, where you're guilty until proven. Still a bit suspicious. Meanwhile, the other parent, who may or may not be playing the victim card, like it's got cash back, gets handed the moral high ground with a loyalty point discount scheme. Cafcass, for their best part, they're doing their best, aren't they? Which unfortunately is like saying to your GP, is doing their best with a WebMD and a hangover. They're overworked, underpaid, and reading your case summary on the toilet 5 minutes before the call. So if you don't spell things out, what you get is the dreaded template. Father, emotionally distant. Potential risk. Might enjoy football too much. Perfect parent syndrome? That's your next trap. If you don't describe your parenting in detail, Cafcass assumes the other parent must be perfect. Not because they are, but because you didn't submit a 300-page CV for a job interview, for a job you already have. That's the reality. Imagine failing a job interview because you didn't bring PowerPoint slides about how often you say, I love you. And even then, and don't even get me started on male communication. Men talk like Google search results, short, vague, and mostly wrong. Meanwhile, the court's expecting Oprah-level emotional vulnerability. Tell us, how you feel? I feel like this is bullshit. Wrong answer. Wrong answer. So what do? I evolved. That's what I had to do. I had to evolve. I become the Jason Statham of safeguarding prep. Bald? Not quite. Dangerous? Emotionally ready? Always. I audited my house like I was expecting a raid from the MI5. I mean, I found hazards I didn't even know existed. I removed expired cowpole, locked up the pet turtle, and briefly considered putting warning signs on everything, including myself. I created a child's world timeline. Yes, a literal timeline. I mapped out my kid's week like I was pitching pics to Pixar. Cafcass wants to know if you're involved. I gave them the blueprint of my child's soul. Reflective log? Yeah. I basically live blogged my guilt. So every time I raised my voice or lost my patience, I wrote it down, added analysis, and included a pie chart. The pie chart was for my feelings. I had more insight than Sigmund Freud and less denial than a Love Island contestant. The parenting communication dossier? Every single text. I hope you're well, and I respect your opinion. Translation. You're a psycho, but I need to play nice for the judge. De-escalation, apologies, flexibility, like I was applying for a job at UNICEF. And then safeguarding questions. For them, yeah, I flipped the script. Do you have any concerns about my child? I asked. Are there any risks I've missed? That's right. I became the therapist of the teacher and the security guard, all rolled into one. Stressed out dad with no printer. Or maybe I was a stressed out dad with a printer. So when I walked into that interview, I wasn't just a father. I was a safeguarding samurai, the Mary Poppins of masculinity, and the Denzel Washington of emotionally stable parenting. And that, my friends, is how you don't just survive a Cafcass interview, you stage a bloody coup. Until next time, buongiorno.